Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Animal Talk Thursday. I'm Dawn Heyman, professional animal communicator and co-founder of Spring Farm Cares. It's great to have you all back again joining us. And as always, if you want to put something in the comments as to where you're joining us from, that'd be great. We're getting people from all over the world. So, hello, South Australia. I know you're listening, and I mean we have from everywhere. So anyway, it's just really cool. So today we're doing something really unique. The weather cooperated with us. We're having a really beautiful morning. So Becca and I just took a hike, and we walked about, 20 minutes, probably 15, 20 minutes from the main part of the farm. We're up on the back side of our property. So we're actually at our property line on the 50-acre side of the road of the animal sanctuary. So where we are, Becca's going to pan around. Very historical significance to the farm up here. So right now, we keep this area mowed so it doesn't totally grow over. But this used to be, back in the 20s and 30s, this was all cow pasture up here. It was totally cleared cow pasture. Now it has grown over significantly. And even 30 years ago, our horses used to come up here and graze. But right now, the horses are not allowed to come back up this far. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which I'm not going to go into right now. But we're keeping this pretty much wild. So this is part, in some ways it's part of the nature sanctuary on this side of the road. However, there's something very special up here, and I have brought groups up here for a long time. We used to be able to do that before ticks became a big deal. But we're going to introduce you to a very special tree. And I don't know, we have to use microphones for you to hear us. So I'm not sure how much of the nature sounds you can hear, but I'll stop talking for a second. Because we're where it's really silent. The road traffic, we have a major highway that goes through the middle of the farm, so we can still hear that a little bit here, but it's kind of away from it. But the birds, of course, in spring now, the birds every day are just getting more and more numerous as they're coming back. So that makes this space even more special. But this is a real sacred space up here on the farm. So we have a lot of deer on the property, and in the spring, so shortly, I won't even be coming up here for a while, because this is like a real sacred nursery space where the deer have actually requested to me that we leave them alone. They raise their fawns in safety up here. And there are some nursery areas which I never even enter, because the animals have asked me to respect that space, because we have fox and we have raccoons and we have all sorts of animals that live up here and have dens up here. So I can hear them at night, so I know they're here. But the other resident up here, there are lots of trees, as you can see, but this property line is a whole long line of maple trees, with the granddaddy of them all is this tree here. And this is why we came up here today. This is Becca's first time meeting this tree. And this tree was named by Bonnie back in the early 80s as the God Tree. And I will gladly tell the story about the God Tree. Some of you watching have heard the story at workshops, and some of you from older workshops have actually been up here to the God Tree and experienced this tree in person. But this tree is documented to be well over 300 years old. It may be closer to 400 years old. We did have a tree expert come and look at it, and definitely told us that it's over 300, and that was 30 years ago. So this tree is called the God Tree because Bonnie grew up on this farm. So this is Bonnie's several generations on this farm, but she herself has been on the farm for 80 years. And in her adult life, as she traveled and did other things, she was away from the farm for about 20 years, and until she came back in the 80s. So she hadn't been on the farm for quite a while, and she and her cousin, who used to play up here and play hide and seek, and this used to be the cow pasture when Bonnie was a kid, and she and her cousin would come up here, and there was a dead tree up here that was all hollowed out, and they used to hide inside the tree. And as they came back as adults in the 80s, they both said, hey, why don't we go around to all the places we used to have our forts and we used to play and stuff. And so they came up here. You know, Bonnie said, remember the old dead tree we used to hide in? And her cousin said, oh, that wouldn't be standing anymore. And they came up here to a complete shock. And the old dead tree had come back to life. Obviously, it wasn't totally dead. But what it has done is amazing because it transformed itself. It took a couple of major branches and actually brought them down alongside of the trunk and rooted itself to hold itself up. If you look at this tree, and we'll stand back at some point so you can see can you see the full tree on there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It defies gravity actually because it's all hollowed out, and a lot of people have stood inside and felt like they're being hugged by the tree.
Here, we'll do a little close up while you're talking.
Yeah, Becca will show you the inside of the tree. And it's really amazing how this tree rejuvenated. It is now in full bud and leafing out. We'll come back up in the summer, and Becca and I were just talking about that and get some pictures of it again. And in the fall, I always come up. This is like a really sacred place to be. So I've gotten many messages from the God Tree. Lots of people have gotten messages from the God Tree. But this tree tells me that it is literally the sentinel of the farm, that it holds the energetic space for the farm, which makes sense. It's right on, like I said, it's literally on the property line. In fact, in case you're watching this video and can really see, there's a tree stand behind the, behind the tree on the neighboring property line because they allow hunters there. So that's another reason why we respect this space, because we don't want to scare animals into the huntable area. And that includes turkey hunting and deer hunting. So anyway, this tree holds an very, very important energetic guardian space over the farm. So I do have to share this story with you that when our fire happened in 1993, it is a long way away from this tree. So Becca and I literally, it took us 20 minutes to walk here. Granted, we had to kind of go around. We didn't do a straight line from where the barn is, but still, it's a good hike to where our barn is that burned. And so that was in the end of October 30th. October 31st. It was Halloween. So, 1993. And I came up to the God Tree in the spring to try to find some peace and solace from grief, actually. And I came hiking up here just to spend some time with the tree. And as I was sitting here under the tree, I suddenly look down and I see stuff on the ground, and I'm like, what is that? And I recognize my handwriting. And there was all sorts of like ash up here and pieces of paper. And it was paper from a journal that I was writing and a manuscript that I was writing about messages from the animals. And it was my handwriting. And I looked, and it was all carpeted with ash from the fire up here under the God Tree. I couldn't have thought of a more fitting tribute to have some of my stuff up here, but I still to this day can't understand how it got all the way up here, but it did. I mean, I didn't find ash all the way up. There wasn't like a debris field or something all the way up here. It just was here. And so that was an incredible moment. I've had a lot of incredible moments with this tree. And so it is a very, very sacred space. So we wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, and there's Vicky's here who says that she remembers her experience meeting the God Tree at a workshop.
Oh, very good. Yeah, because I used to bring workshops up here all the time. And it's not as accessible now. The land has gotten much more, the land has changed from erosion and everything, and it makes it a very difficult walk to get up here. So
have other people, like workshop attendees or other people that are a part of the farm, had other interesting experiences here?
Yes. People have gotten some extraordinary things here. Of course, Bonnie herself has had the whole experience of her naming it the God Tree was she would freely tell this story. So she was going through a phase in her life where she was really an agnostic. She was having trouble with faith and believing in anything. And when she found this tree, she said it was like, she said, this is something I can believe in, and that's why she named it the God Tree. And it really was life-changing to her, you know, when she came up and saw that. So she used to come up here a lot. There's a vernal pond off to the side. And for those of you who don't know what a vernal pond is, it's just basically a spring pond. So there's a dipped area in the land, and the runoff from the snow melt and everything fills that. And back with the kind of snow we used to get, that pond was actually quite sizable, enough that Bonnie could bring her dogs up here to swim, have the dogs swim in the pond in the spring. And it goes away. But right now it hosts ducks. Ducks will be in there, nesting. They get just enough time before it dries up to raise their young and get them on the move. And lots of peepers and frogs in there. So I also leave that alone. But this year it's not as big, even though we had a lot of snow. I was really surprised, but it's just we don't get the snow we used to get, so the pond is smaller. And the creaking of the tree, that's normal. Becca's like, yeah, the trees do tend to creak. It's actually not the God tree creaking; it's the one next to it.
It's not that windy, so I think we're
no, yeah, it's not that windy. But I've been up here on really windy days as well, so yeah.
So cool. Oh, and someone said, hi from Bonnie's family in Kentucky, Tanya.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, hi.
Thank
wow.
you. Hi.
Awesome. Well, this is amazing. I know you said that, the tree is a really important kind of energy and spirit here. Do you ever randomly get messages from the tree even when you're not here? Like if there's something going on?
Yes, actually. So I've been called by the tree to come up here before. So I can tell you this very funny story. I was sitting at my desk. This was probably 20 years ago now. I was sitting at my desk, and all of a sudden it was a nice, I want to say late spring. And it was a beautiful day. And all of a sudden I got this feeling like something was wrong. And it was definitely coming from up here, this direction. So I actually checked in with the God tree that said, yeah, there's some problems. So I remember turning to Margaret and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to go for a walk, I guess. And before I could even get up out of the house, we're all hooked up here by walkie-talkies. And suddenly I'm called by a very frantic employee and to please get up the hill right away behind my house. So I got in my car actually and drove up because I could tell it was an emergency, whatever was going on. And she wouldn't elaborate. But she was really upset. You could hear her being very upset. So I came up and I found her. She was walking a dog on that trail back where we just came from. That used to be our dog walk trail. So we used to walk the sanctuary dogs up here take them on a really nice nature walk. And so she was up here near the top when right in the middle of the dog walk trail, there was a turkey decoy. So somebody was turkey hunting on our property. And so this girl was frantically, she was angry. And I was angry as well. I mean, we don't allow hunters on our property. It's highly posted. And, but we had problems with this about 20 years ago. We don't have this problem today. Like I say, the neighbors allow hunters on their property and we respect that, but it's like, we try to make sure that it's copacetic on our side. And so anyway, she was yelling, she was yelling at me saying, you got to do something. There's this turkey thing. And I said, where there's this turkey decoy, there's a turkey hunter not far away. And she was like, and we looked and there was nobody here. And it was like this open area. And she said, well, there's nobody here. And then all of a sudden she stamped her foot and she looked up at the sky and she said, God, I'm telling you, may a bolt of lightning strike right now and kill the idiot that put this here. I mean, I'm not espousing this, but that's what she said. And all of a sudden we hear the grass start rustling and we turn around and there was a turkey hunter in camouflage. He was about 10 feet from us on his belly on the ground. And when she did that, he freaked out and he took off and jumped over the barbed wire fence, caught his pants on it, ripped his pants. And anyway, we were shocked that the dog didn't smell him there. So, but I was actually paged by the God tree about this. So the God tree does watch over everything, protects the animals, protects the farm, the energy of the farm. I have come up here. Our horses used to come up when I couldn't find them. I would have to schlep my way all the way back up the hills to find them up here. And inevitably, they were up here underneath the God tree. If they got caught out in a storm, they would come up here. Not that I don't know if I would come up here in a storm underneath the God tree, but that's where the animals felt safe. So they came up here. I frequently, when we walked up, there was a deer right up here that took off from this area as we approached. But there are frequently animals bedded down up here. When you come up in the summer, when the grass is taller, you'll see the areas where the deer have been sleeping up here. So it's a really powerful area. For those of you old enough to remember the harmonic convergence in the 80s, I was just about coming on the scene at Spring Farm Cares at that point, and Bonnie had this brilliant idea. I was home for the weekend from college, so I don't remember what year that was. Anyway, I might have actually been out of college by then. But anyway, Bonnie said to me, we're going to camp out under the stars for the harmonic convergence. It was supposed to be this really big, energetic, metaphysical experience. So I said, all right, okay. So what I thought of camping was like we're going to pitch a tent up here. But Bonnie's idea of camping was just to bring a sleeping bag and lay on the ground. And a lot of you probably would say, yeah, what's wrong with that? It really, But I have some phobias about skunks and things. I was convinced all night that we were going to either get run over by deer or skunks were going to come out or whatever. And I laid awake here the whole night. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful starry night, and it was kind of cool to sleep up here. I didn't sleep, though, just for the record. She slept nice and sound, but I didn't. But it truly has that kind of meaning. This is it's like a church up here. It's just, it has that same kind of feel.
Very sacred.
It is sacred. And you can feel it when you walk up here. Yeah.
Yeah, and even though, we try to keep it quiet up here, we'll definitely make sure that we do some more filming up here.
Yeah.
Because it's, especially in the summer when the tree's in full bloom, that will be amazing.
Yeah. And then in the fall, you'll want to catch it with its fall leaves.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this has been very special.
Yeah.
Thank you, Godtree. Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah. Thank you, Godtree. And thank you to the animals whose life we interrupted here briefly.
Yeah. We'll be going. All right, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.